What is going on, YouTube? It's your boy Spanko, and today I'm very excited to bring you guys a video that I thought this was super cool. Now, shout out to my boy Alpha YGO. He actually sent me this replay, and I'm going to be going through this replay. Now, I don't have a deck profile for you guys today, but if you guys like this and you guys like the idea of this, then I could put together a deck profile for you guys and show you what the deck is looking like, how to build the deck. Now, this deck isn't completely built, and it's not perfect yet. It's not perfected, I should say. Obviously, it gets the job done, but this is a pretty much... Now, you see the diagram, you see the disciples, but this is a version of Eldlich Synchro that's not actually Eldlich. And what I mean by that is Eldlich is actually a very expensive deck, with Golden Lords being over like $100 I think each. So my friend Alpha brought it up and said, hey, there's a way you can play Synchro Eldritch but at a budget level, which is Synchro True Draco. Because essentially Synchro Eldritch wants to do two things. One, it wants to get the Jet Synchron so that it could summon like a lot of monsters, go make the Borreload Savage Dragon play. But then the Eldlich package helps it play a more control-based deck where you can set 3 with that, right? So pretty much what this deck does is the exact same thing, where you set a bunch of floodgates and you set a bunch of True Draco cards so that you can play on your opponent's turn, but also finish on that Borreload Savage. Now, obviously, it takes away from playing something like the Monarch's Erupt, because obviously you have an extra deck in this, but I feel like this deck could be super good, and if you guys want to play Eldlich at a budget level, this is kind of like what deck you should be playing. Of course, like I said earlier, this is not Eldlich, but it's the same idea as Eldlich in a budget deck, if that makes sense. And so the reason I'm actually doing this video is because your boy just got a fresh haircut. You already know we got a fresh cut, so I'm doing face cam for this video for you guys, but also for me to show off this brand new cut. But before we get into the video, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel if you guys like to see these combo videos, stuff like this, these very new creative ideas. Now again, no credit to me. Shout out to my boy Alpha, like I said earlier. Check out his channel. I'll leave a link in the description below. He's always thinking of creative stuff like this, and he's always thinking outside of the box. So I think this could do really well. And this obviously is his replay. He just sent it to me, and I'm using his replay, to be honest, without his consent, for this video. Obviously, all my social medias will be linked in the description below, so you guys can check that out as well. Now, let's get into the video. So I'm going to go step by step here, because I took a look at this, and I'm like, man, this is super cool. Now, it's pretty much what Eldlich Synchro wants to do, is it wants to open Jet Synchron, and I'm assuming in this deck, which I can't see right now, but I'm assuming he plays stuff like Tuning to get to the Jet Synchron as fast as possible. But as soon as you see this card, you know you have Needle Fibers, because this card on its own is an entire Needle Fiber combo. So all these 4 cards, like, technically he opened pretty poorly. Like, double Disciples is not great, but he did open the Imperm. Now let's say you open Imperm plus another trap card, it'd probably be even better, but so we'll see how this plays out. Normal summon is a Jet Synchron. He's gonna make this into a Link Karibo, and then once it's made into a Link Karibo over here, I don't want to fast forward it because it might go too fast. He's gonna activate the Jet Synchron effect. Okay, I might have to fast forward it. So he's going to activate the Jet Synchron effect, use Jet Synchron and Karibo into the Needle Fiber right here. So he's going to summon the Desk Bot off of Needle Fiber. Now again, this is all standard like Eldlich Synchro combos, right? Like, this is how the Synchro decks or the Jet Synchron Needle Fiber combos work. So it's the exact same thing, but what ends up happening is you end up playing a control-based deck that can end on pretty big boards, and then on the next turn, you can probably just OTK your opponent. So that's pretty much what this deck wants to do, and it pretty much plays exactly like Eldlich Synchro. So we'll get right back into this. You obviously are going to use Needle Fiber for the Link Ross here. Now, of course, I know people have been complaining about Link Ross and the ban list and whatnot, but we do have these cards available, and so as long as they are available, we should use them and put them to use. So Link Ross is going to give you the 2 tokens here, and pretty much you're going to use one of the tokens to bring back the Link Karibo. Now you use Link Ross as well as the Link Karibo to make Barricade Board Blocker. The reason this is important is because you can't use the tokens for a Link Summon, so you have to make the Link Karibo with the token to make the Barricade, and then this gives you another machine with Despot 001 to make a Rorodon. So what's going to happen here is he's going to link Barricade Board Blocker as well as Despot 001 into your Rorodon. You're going to get 3 tokens. So 3 tokens here. And then Despot is going to summon itself back out using its own effect, which is if 2 or more monsters are summoned at the same time, 2 or more machine monsters, then you can special summon it from the deck. So you guys can see here, you have a really strong board, really big board right here, just off of what Jet Synchron. So we'll keep going. He's going to make a Rorodon plus one of the tokens into Olion, so he's going to activate the Rorodon effect, of course, summon the Olion. And then here, he's going to make a TG Hyper Librarian, which I don't want to fast forward it because it's going to go way too fast. But he's probably going to make a TG Hyper Librarian right here, or he is going to make a TG Hyper Librarian. I watched this already. So he's going to make TG Hyper Librarian with one of the tokens as well as Olion. Now, these are the Olion tokens or the Mecha Phantom Beast tokens here. So this is still the Link Cross one. The one that I'm hovering over is the Link Cross one. These are the Mecha Phantom Beast ones. So he's going to make Hyper Librarian, and obviously Hyper Librarian, every time you Synchro Summon, you're going to get to draw a card. So what's going to happen is Orion's going to summon a token. So you use Despot as well as one of the tokens to make a Formula Synchron, which lets you draw one card. TG Hyper Librarian is also going to let you draw one card. And then with here, you can use the Formula Synchron plus a level 3 plus another level 3 token, which is going to give you a Borreload Savage Dragon. Actually, you might go into Excel Synchron first, just to draw another card. Yeah, so you go into the Excel Synchron to draw another card, and then you're just going to go into Savage Dragon. So it's going to be the same combo. You just want to draw an extra card with TG Hyper Librarian. You're going to use this to bring back probably the Auroradon. Yeah, so Auroradon. So you're going to have 3 negates on Savage Dragon. And at this point, you've drawn 3 cards. You've drawn a Formula Synchron, TG Hyper Librarian twice. So 2 TG Hyper Librarians. Actually, wait, 3 times. 3 Hyper Librarian draws and the Formula Synchron. So you've drawn 4 times right now. So 4 times off of just what Gen Synchron play. Just one Jet Synchron plus obviously any discard fodder is draw 4 plus this board. Now obviously, as you guys can see here, the board changes according to what you draw. So what I mean by that is he drew into a Where Art Thou plus a There Can Only Be One plus a Pot of Avarice plus another Disciples, I think. Yeah, another Disciples, because I think he discarded one earlier. Yeah, he discarded the first one earlier for the Jet Synchron, and then so he drew Where Art Thou, Disciples, There Can Only Be One, as well as Pot of Avarice. Now, luckily enough, Pot of Avarice is actually really good because Jet Synchron gives you all of these cards in the graveyard. So Pot of Avarice is going to get him another draw 2. So he drew into There Can Only Be One. So obviously TG Hyper Librarian is a spellcaster and Borreload Savage Dragon is a dragon. So There Can Only Be One works perfect in this deck. Now, of course, if you play any other Floodgates, which I'm not sure which ones are played here. And like I said, if you guys enjoy this, if you guys want to see a full deck profile, I'll actually get in contact with Alpha. And I mean, I'm always in contact with Alpha, to be honest with you. But I'll get in contact with him to get the deck list and get like an in-depth explanation for you guys. And so pretty much everything that you do from here on out depends on your draws. Now, as you guys see, he obviously has an Imperm and There Can Only Be One. So he can honestly set these 2 and you're probably winning the game because you have an Imperm negate, you have a Savage negate, and you have There Can Only Be One, which is just a huge floodgate. A lot of decks and stuff cannot play around the There Can Only Be One. But of course, as you guys will see here, I'll just let this play on. Pretty much you have the Pot of Avarice to draw 2. I'll fast forward this. Pot of Avarice is going to let you draw 2 over here. So of course, if you draw into more floodgates or more traps, then you can set more. As you guys are going to see, like he drew into a True Draco. He uses the diagram here to pop one of the Disciples in hand to search the Heritage. Now Heritage is going to let him to draw 1, I'm pretty sure, because he popped the Disciples on field. So Heritage is going to get another draw. So right now he's already drawn with the Pot of Avarice 8 times. 4 off the TG, 2 times off the Pot of Avarice, so that's 6, plus the Heritage draw. 7 draws with this. Now of course it could be more, it could be less, depending on what you open. But he opened the True King's Return, which means that on his opponent's turn, he can actually tribute summon to summon a Dynamite Knight, and this gives him another form of disruption. So how crazy is that? Just this deck does exactly what Eldlich Synchro does, but look how budget this is. So obviously Imperm might be a little bit out of budget, but it does have a couple reprints now, so I think it's a little bit cheaper. Borreload Savage Dragon might be a little bit expensive as well. So if you guys want to replace Savage Dragon for another level 8 Synchro, you guys can technically do that as well. I don't think you can make Crystal Wing just because the tuner monster is the actual Synchro monster, and I think you need a non-tuner Synchro. But pretty much if you guys don't make the Savage, you guys can make another level 8 Synchro, or you guys can actually make a Herald, I think, somewhere with the tokens. You guys can make Herald, so you'll have a Herald negate, and then on top of that, you're going to be able to play on your opponent's turn just because you have access to something like True King's Return, Imperm, others trap cards. Like there's definitely more trap cards or more floodgates that are going to be played here. So obviously the more you play, the more you're going to draw into, or the different ones that you can draw into. So as you guys can see, the end board right here, once the cards are flipped open, so they're going to be flipped just to show you guys what this deck pretty much ends on. But pretty much with one Jet Synchron, you've netted yourself the entire board. Now you have 5 cards in your opening hand, so let's say you have Jet Synchron in your opening hand plus 4, you went plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You went plus 8 on this turn just with one Jet Synchron, and depending on what you draw into. On top of that, you're going to be playing with one negate here, a second negate with the Imperm, a negate with the True King's Return, or not necessarily a negate, but a disruption, because you're going to be able to summon your Dynamite Knight plus pop a card, because you'll probably tribute either the Heritage or the Return. So there you go, you get to pop either a spell or trap, or you get to pop a monster. Dynamite Knight is going to let you search another trap, which is the other True Draco trap, so you're going to get that disruption as well, plus you have it There Can Only Be One. And this is budget, guys. This is not $100 Eldritch Golden Lords. Okay, like I said earlier, Borreload Savage might be a little bit expensive, but it's just one. You only need one. And again, you can probably make Herald somewhere in here, and I might be wrong, but you can probably make Herald. Or, funny enough, with the Excel Synchron and the TG Hyper Librarian, you can actually make Zolkin. And you can make Zolkin Crystal Wing. So that's another way you can go about this. Now, of course, you guys didn't see it here, but with Excel Synchron, you could go Excel Synchron plus TG Hyperlibrarian for Zolkin, set one of these cards, and then you have Crystal Wing. So even if you guys don't or can't afford the Borreload Savage and don't have access to a Borreload Savage, get your hands on a Reaper and Crystal Wing. I'm pretty sure they're pretty cheap. And if you have a Crystal Wing and the Zolkin, boom, the exact same play with just the Jet Synchron. How insane is that? So again, like I said at the beginning of the video, shout out to my boy Alpha YGO. He's always thinking out of the box. If you guys want to check out his channel, link will be at the top of the description below. Check him out. He's almost at 1,000 subscribers. Let's get him to 1,000 subscribers by the end of, what's today, the 27th, the 28th. Let's try to get him to 1,000 subscribers within the next month or so. That'll be awesome. And if you guys want to see more stuff like this, obviously let me know in the comment section down below. If you guys want to see a deck profile, I'm going to start working on it. This deck is probably not perfected yet, but once it gets there, I think this deck could be really good. And don't get me wrong, when events start up again, you could see this deck probably get a couple tops, like sneak in a couple tops, just because people will be like, what the heck is going on? Anyways, if you guys enjoyed this video, like this video, subscribe to the channel. With that, Spanko signing out. Peace.
My hands steady, I feel ready, but my legs heavy, I don't get it. How come I haven't hit it already? Still working, I'm still learning, I'm still searching, finally earning something, finally turning something called a profit. If I hear you talking shit, don't get caught in it. I'll be popping off and hit your ass, dropping all your shit. Yeah, I promise this, I got promises, you ain't stopping this. Cross my shit.